The HK P7 squeeze cocker, I like it. Man, this gun rocks. The HK P7 PSP 9mm pistol, or also affectionately known as the squeeze cocker. And that has a lot to do with the design of this pistol. With this cocking action, made this pistol a very safe pistol to carry and to fire with a round in the chamber. Of course, we're going to safety check. The P7 was the answer to the West German police force's call for a 9mm pistol that was very accurate, that was really safe to be carried by West German police forces. And this was really inspired by the Munich Olympics massacre that occurred back in the 70s. And they were carrying at that time the 7.65 or the 32 ACP. And so they wanted to go with something with a lot more power behind it, but something that was extremely reliable and really met up with a lot of special forces needs as well. The P7 actually began production in 1979 through 2008, which these are no longer made. It had a 8-round plus 1 capacity. It was a really reliable, fully ambidextrous. There are no safeties, no slide releases on this pistol. Very slim, very trim design. Everything is based on the squeeze cocking action. By initiating the squeeze cocker, you can see that the firing pin is exposed here in the back, and it's a striker fire system. But there's a lot of features about this pistol that's very unique. One of the reasons, though, why this pistol had ceased to be in production is because of the cost. It was very expensive to make. In fact, even in the 80s, these were running around the $800 to $900 range. And they're still bringing those prices now. In fact, I was on Gunbroker and Arms List and a lot of different sites trying to get a really good feel for the value of these, and some were running up into the $3,000 mark. Now, they may be asking $3,000 or even $2,000. That doesn't mean they're getting it. But these pistols are highly sought after by collectors, and rightly so, because it's a very unique design. It is an all steel frame, and it weighs 27 ounces. So it's fairly heavy to just carry 8 rounds in the magazine. Of course, here you have your all-steel magazines, highly polished. These magazines can also be pretty expensive. I've seen them from $75 to about $100. The magazine does go in really smooth. The original PSP had the heel magazine release, and which is fairly European style. They did come up with the M8 really to sell to American markets with a magazine release up here in this traditional area. And they also made the M13, which carried 13 rounds in the magazine. Now, of course, H&K quality is world-renowned, and this pistol exemplifies all the things that make H&K what it is today. It's a very finely finished piece. The bluing on it's really nice. And this sample in particular is a really nice pistol. You don't see a lot of these. In fact, they are highly sought after. But one of the really sweet things about this pistol is how low the bore axis is when holding it. It really rides really low, and it fits right into the web of your hand. And that really helps with accuracy, and it helps with recoil, because what's happening is the slide is coming back low on your hand. If you bring that slide up and bring it back, there's more of a camming action. So these guns shoot very flat, but they are extremely accurate. They were the first to introduce the polygonal grooves in the barrel, and there's a lot of other features that help this. It has a fixed barrel design, and we're going to look at that when we break the pistol down, which really aids in accuracy. This makes an amateur like me even look good. 10 yards standing, it makes me look real good. Oh yeah. Now, another unique feature about this pistol when it was introduced was the 3-dot sight system, which now of course is pretty standard. The barrel is just over 4 inches in length at 4.1 inches. There are serrations that go along the top of the slide, and this keeps glare down in sunlight or bright lights. Have your German proof marks H&K Incorporated, Arlington, Virginia, which was the importer. And here we have made in Germany, which most of the P7s were made in Germany, but there were a number that were contracted out in Greece and in Mexico. The PSP stands for Police Self-Loading Pistol. And of course, this was designed with police forces in mind. Keeping a round in the chamber, this gun is fully safe with a round in the chamber. In fact, when you pull the trigger, there is no action. When you grip the squeeze cocker, that releases the firing pin with a very light trigger pull. In fact, it's about a 4.5 pound trigger pull. To engage the squeeze cocker, though, it's about 15.7 pounds. And this gets it into place. But to maintain the squeeze cock, it only takes 2 pounds of pressure. So you can really let up. So if you're in a position where you're really holding this pistol on target, you can release the squeeze cocker somewhat and it still retains into the fire position. Once the squeeze cocker is released, it releases the striker, and this keeps it safe. It doesn't fire when the squeeze cocker is released. The P7 takes a little bit of getting used to just because of the squeeze cocker mechanism, but really once you get a hold of it, the trigger pull is really smooth and it's fairly light. In fact, when I first took this out, the first couple of shots, it took me a second to get used to it. The accuracy is obviously there, and of course that's no surprise considering this is an H&K. Extremely well made, engineered to just high degrees, so what do you expect? I can understand why this is legendary. Now, one of the things I realized pretty quickly was grabbing the squeeze cocker with an unloaded gun, it brings the slide forward. Even with an empty magazine in the chamber, brings the slide forward. If you're changing magazines, slap one in, hit the squeeze cocker, you're ready to go again. No moving of this hand, no thumb slide release. It just works. Of course, the slim lines of the squeeze cocker are just incredible. So it's really easy to just grab hold of, holster, carry all day. This would be a great concealed carry option. And there's no doubt about this gun being ready to fire. Squeeze it, you can see the striker, it's ready to go. Release, it disappears. The grips are well finished. It has a texturing that goes all along the side. On the back strap, we have some stippling, very fine, but it does give you some grip surface here. It's smooth up here at the web of your hand, so it's not going to wear on your hand. And the squeeze cocker itself on the front surface is stippled as well, with finger grooves. The serrations on the slide are angled, and it does feature a squared off trigger guard. Now, the P7 is purported to feed any type 9mm ammunition, and I think one of the reasons for that is you have a certain grip angle, but if you'll notice, the magazine is in a pretty straight line up through the mag well. So you're getting almost a 90-degree angle with the magazine, and so it doesn't affect your grip. Many magazines are fitted an angle, so this gives the round a straight up position right into the chamber. Now, there is a slide stop right here behind the trigger, and it's kind of difficult to manipulate, but you push it back, push it in, and then it holds it into place. So there is a slide stop, but typically, most guys nowadays are not really even using slide stops. And of course, with the magazine in the chamber, when you pull it back, that also acts as a slide stop. To release, pull the slide back, allow it to go forward. The disassembly of the P7 is fairly simple. Right here is your takedown lever. Just press, pull back, and raise up. And that releases the slide. As you can see, you have your fixed barrel, your recoil spring. Now here we have the gas piston, and it is fixed to the slide. This looks similar to a spring, but these are actually coils that just ride around. And then you have a hole right here that fits down into the hole under the barrel. And when rounds are fired, there's a gas port right on the other side of the chamber. You can't really see it, but it forces gases into this chamber area. And when the slide comes back and the piston is in place, it actually delays the recoil action, which helps with felt recoil. And it really helps you get on second and third shots really quickly. Now, once the bullet exits the barrel, around the grooves of the chamber, there are 18 little grooves that fit all around the chamber. And this forces the shell out of the chamber. In fact, you don't need an extractor with this pistol. Even though it has an extractor on the slide, tests have been done where these have been removed, and yet it was fully functional with no malfunctions. But you can see where the grooves are with the gas and the pressures that have come out on this spent round. And from the look of this brass, there's no doubt it's H&K. Here you can see the squeeze cocker action. That's what manipulates this bar, and that brings the firing pin into the fire position. With the complicated design right here, you can see why the cuts and everything would really lend to this being a very expensive pistol. But the finish inside the slide is just beautiful. One of the inherent problems though when firing this pistol is that this area right here around the gas area gets really hot. And after a couple of hundred rounds, this is very hard to even get your finger up. If you touch it, it's really hot. So one of the improvements the M8 brought to the P7 series was a deflector right here, a heat deflector that kept it cool. Also on the M8 and the M13 design, they put a lanyard to replace the magazine release right here. Of course, reassembly is easy. Just attach your spring, make sure that your piston is in place, lining up your barrel with the slide. Bring it back into back position, you're ready to go. The P7 was predominantly made in 9mm, but there are examples of 22 long rifle, 32 ACP, 380, 40 Smith & Wesson, and 45 ACP, which was just a prototype. So there were a lot of different calibers that these were offered in. The HK-P7 was a revolutionary design. In fact, it influenced most of the modern handguns that we're dealing with right now, and just really a masterpiece of German engineering. And guys, I want to encourage you to go to my Facebook page at Such Fun Gun Reviews. I'll have the link down in the description below, especially if you're having any questions or comments. With the new Google+, it's very difficult to get any private messages. So go to my Facebook page. I try to answer all those questions or things on there. Also, any new reviews that I'm doing or special events or things that are happening, and updates on different things that may go on with different pistols or different gear. So check out Such Fun Gun Reviews Facebook page and hit the like button. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. Have today as a modern semi, and then it'll have a predecessor to the Glock, because there's a nice tactical. The HK P7, the HK PSP 9.